Hi, how is everybody going? I thought that I would make a video. I was gonna do a Facebook live video, but that seemed like way too terrifying. So, because I don't really know what I'm gonna say, so I didn't want to just like record it and then have it live, and then it'd just be totally terrible. And then it's just in social media forever. So anyway, I guess like most of you, I've been thinking about the current situation in the world, the pandemic, and how everybody's going, and what I could do to contribute to that, how I could help. And I'm often careful with this idea of trying to help people, because I feel like that can be a dangerous thing when you really try to help someone. My experience with ego is that sometimes if you really try a bit too hard, you actually don't end up helping the person. So it's got to come from a place of not being egoic, thinking of yourself. So I don't want to do that. The last thing I want to do is say anything that will make anybody feel worse, or the situation worse. So I've kind of held off saying anything, but I thought I might even make a series of videos. Why? Well, I was starting to do some joke memes, because I was like, I'd be scrolling through Facebook and I'd be like, oh, this is terrible, that's terrible, oh, those bad news, horrible. And then someone would have something really funny, and it would just take me out of it for a moment. And it's funny because I've had a therapist, which is another story, but he uses humour really powerfully. So I know that humour can be used really effectively in quite serious situations to help people. Even if it's a momentary break in 24/7 news streams. Just a mental break from it. And then my brother called me and he was like, hey, maybe we should do a video together. He's in Queensland, I'm in Canberra. We're like, I don't know if the technology is going to work for that. So he's like, maybe you should do a video yourself of like talking to people about calming techniques or anxiety, and how they can do things to help themselves, I guess, get through this time. I was like, oh, okay, maybe, cool. And he has been doing videos, lots of videos actually. If you want to find out, he's actually an Australian champion power lifter. It's a bit different to a weightlifter, if you know the difference. And he does a lot of workout videos for people at home at the moment. Does a lot of other videos too, inspirational, motivational videos. If you want to go check them out though, he's Smart Strength. So he's got a page called Smart Strength, and a Smart Strength training group if you're actually like a gym person. Clearly, I'm not really a gym person. More of a David Rose, Schitt's Creek person. But he's awesome at all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so then that got me thinking. And if you're wondering why there's these ridiculous love hearts coming out of my head, it's a reminder to myself, and also a reminder to anyone watching, that everything I say, I'm saying with love, even if some of it at times might sound difficult to hear or understand or whatever it is, that I remind myself to say things with love, and then it'll become more apparent later when I say stuff. You might be like, thanks. Anyway, side note. So he called me and said, how about you do a video? I thought, well, I'm not a doctor or a nurse or a scientist or a mathematician or a data scientist or any of those types of things, so I can't like help in any of those ways. So what could I do? Well, I guess I'm a writer and I've written a lot about my experiences, but I guess most importantly, or most relevant to this video, is that I'm someone who's very, very familiar with anxiety and mental health issues at the best of times. I'm 40 years old now, I just turned 40, and I started going to therapy when I was 20. So essentially I've been going on a journey of self-discovery since I was 20, when my world just kind of crashed down. And it started from, personally, my anxiety, and I had a panic attack when I was 20, and all this stuff was coming up because I was dealing with my identity, realising that I was bisexual, and that's another entire story I won't go into here, but it just had a significant impact on my mental health, and I've kind of been unravelling a whole bunch of stuff since then. So this video is already past 5 minutes. I haven't really gotten to the point yet, so bear with me. There'll probably be several videos. So I guess I wanted to make a video for people about mental health. And yeah, you're probably seeing a million posts on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram that's like, look after your mental health, and it's like, well, how do you actually do that? And sometimes it's not easy. So I guess the point is, while I think that we know the data and the stats of how many people, best case and worst case scenarios, might be impacted by the pandemic physically, your 20% of severe and 5% critical, whatever it is, don't quote me on that, but X number of percentage of people ending up in hospital. Awful, terrible. I can't help with that. I have no expertise in that area. But it seems to me like I don't really think many people are going to get out of this whole situation without their mental health being impacted. Like, no one. So basically, this video is for those people. The people that don't get affected physically. Because I think for most of us, the biggest challenge isn't going to be physical. It's going to be mental. It's going to be the fear of, oh my God, am I going to get this thing? Is my partner going to get this thing? Is my child going to get this thing? Is my mother or father or grandparent going to get this thing? And what's going to happen? And then if you do get it, or if someone you know gets it, it's what's going to happen to them. Most people, their biggest challenge will be mental, I think. There will be people whose biggest challenge is physical, and people who will die, and it will be horrible. I can't help with that, so I guess I wanted to see if I could help anyone by just being me in front of a camera. How's that going so far? So, yeah, I don't usually do unstructured, unscripted, unpracticed things. I played in bands for a decade, and I loved practicing things to death and rehearsing so that I could be, what's the word in drama when you just do stuff off the cuff, and you're acting out, you're making it up as you go along. It'll come to me. This is great TV, right? Great videos. Improv. There you go, improv. Not great at improv. This video is improv. And I think life is improv. That's not meant to be deep, that's just true. Life has become improv. So I might not say anything new or revolutionary that you haven't heard before, but maybe I say something in a way that makes sense to you, and that's what my experience is of therapy. I've had an amazing therapist. I've had a musculoskeletal therapist. Some of my friends know who these people are, and they've been to them as well, and they know how incredible they are. And I think we all need to know how to look after our mental health and to know what is going on inside ourselves, because we don't know what's going on outside in the world. We don't know how to control it. So I guess to give you some context on why I have anything to say about this, or why I think I do, I started writing a book about 5 years ago, just after my daughter was born, because I observed in myself and some family members and friends this notion of getting my entire sense of self-worth from what I did. My job, my role, my title. I came up with this term called pathological doers, as in, my theory was that 90% of humanity are pathological doers. And I wrote this book over 5 years called How to Change the World by Doing Nothing. Nothing. And I think the screen just turned off maybe. More live stuff. How to Change the World by Doing Nothing. A guide to valuing yourself for who you are, not what you do. Because when I looked around in society, all I saw were people obsessively doing. While I was trying to look after my mental health and go to a place of stillness and reflection and being rather than doing. And my other observation was that, there's many in the book, but the vague kind of thread through it is that people are kind of addicted to doing because it's who they think they are, it's what they identify with, what their ego says their value is. And society completely backs that up, if not teaches us that from day dot. The motto of my primary school was strive to achieve. So literally from the age of 6 or 7, it was all about achievement, doing stuff, becoming somebody, meaningful, a celebrity, whatever, famous. Just achieve things and that'll be awesome and you'll be somebody and you'll be valuable. I thought this book was completely crazy. Nobody would get it. I'm just realising how bad my lower teeth are too, by the way. Should give love to myself, see I'm pointing. So, what was I saying? Strive to achieve. Yeah, okay. So, we really like to value ourselves for what we do. And society has taught me that from day dot, and I had to unlearn it. And people that had things taken away from them, I noticed, like their job or a way that they identified their worth, they struggled to know what to do. It induced a sense of anxiety because this thing was taken away from them. And the society was like, no, all of you go out and do these things, all get jobs, have kids, buy stuff. Let's keep this whole thing going. Calling it a system now doesn't seem so ridiculous because when you see people talking about the system, it's like, oh, that's some weird political activist, conspiracy theorist, lefty, commie, socialist. I'm probably all those things. But you're like, oh yeah, talk about the systems. But we're starting to see that it is a system because the system told us to do all this stuff and now the system is telling us to do nothing. And suddenly a book that I wrote that I thought was completely kind of crazy and that no one would get, suddenly I went, maybe this might be the time just to share some ideas from it. Because some people might get it. Because suddenly the world has told everybody, after telling them their entire life to go out and just do stuff for their whole life, pathologically do things, get jobs and work and earn money until you die, they're now saying don't leave the house. Don't do anything. Don't go to your job. Don't go to the beach. Don't go to the shops unless you need to get food. Just sit on the couch and watch TV. And there's all these memes going around like, you know, our forefathers and ancestors, my grandfather fought in wars, you know, lived till he was 101, that's another story. Our forefathers fought in wars to save us. They went out there and experienced the most horrific of conditions and things that they saw, and all we were being asked to do is sit on the couch and watch TV. You know, let's not mess it up. And my response to that is absolutely. Number one, absolutely. Secondly, I think a lot of people would actually be more comfortable going to war because that's something they understand. They can do something as a response. They can, hey, I'm going to go and do something and save this and yeah. That's what we're used to doing. We're not used to having everything taken away from us and being told to sit still and do nothing. And that's the situation that we're in right now. And that's the kind of thing I'm going to talk about in these videos of what you can do, or not do, ironically, to help get through this time, checking in with yourself and doing things that help your mental health. whether it's debunking your brain thought patterns. I have ideas for that. Simple breathing stuff. I think I read the other day, and you can tell me if this is totally wrong, but that everyone bangs on about breathing. Well, that's key to meditation. I've done that for over 10 years most days, and it's incredible. Some people hear meditation, they're like, I'm not doing that. Like, that sounds ridiculous. Or I'm bad at it. Like, you can't be bad at meditation. It just means it's hard. Because people think it's meant to be like this peaceful thing. It's not. It's hard. Sometimes it's awful. Sometimes stuff comes up when you don't like it. But it's a practice. It's like, you're not going to enjoy, I don't know, trying to write the first time you try and write, or trying to speak French, because you're going to be crap. It's going to be painful. Okay, I just contradicted myself, because you can be crap at speaking French. You can't really be bad at meditation, because it just is. You just go and you sit there and you do nothing and you practice, and it's not about getting good at it or getting better at it. It's about doing it regularly, because it trains your brain to have other ways of behaving and being. And so anyway, I think I read the other day that breathing was one of the clearest scientific ways to lower your cortisol. You can comment if I'm totally wrong, but it was something like that. And so it's proven. Paying attention to your breathing. If you don't want to call it meditation or whatever, some people pray. If you want to pray, meditate, if that's too much for you, you can just do breath stuff, and I can talk about that too. I'm just going to talk about practical stuff. I'm going to talk about stuff that I've learned from my therapists too. I'm going to say it with love, because some of the stuff I've heard from them has been, let's call it tough love and hard truths and whatever else you want to call it, and that's when I'll go like that. So I think that a lot of people barely manage to get by in daily life as it is. As it was, I should say, pre-2020. So there are people out there with anxiety, depression, many other kind of mental illnesses, diagnosed, undiagnosed, that have their own coping mechanisms. Many of those have now been taken away. So we have to find new ways of looking after ourselves and each other, because there's a lot of people that were barely managing to get through in their life anyway. Let's picture a cup, a glass, and let's say the water is 90% full. That's how some people operate most of their lives, just when life is kind of normal, with no disasters, threat of disasters, imminent real threat of death, 90% anxiety, depression, feeling of overwhelm. Then you throw in, like we had bushfires earlier this year in Australia, overwhelmed. Let's pour in a litre of water on the glass that's 90% full. You can see what's happening. It's too much, they can't cope. Same things with the pandemic. Most people, or that are 90% full, 80, 70, 60, there's a whole lot of water being poured in on top, and it's just overflowing. So there's going to be a lot more people, I think, personally, experiencing mental health issues who had never experienced them before in their life. There's going to be people who have minor mental health issues before that are going to be bad. There are going to be people that already have bad mental health issues that are going to require probably serious help. I can't help necessarily with all those things, but I think we all have something to offer, and I mean that seriously. If you want to post a video in a comment of anything that you want to say or have to offer, or start your own things of these, I think we all have lived a life, obviously, and we all have a unique experience, and I think we all have something to offer. I might have a master's degree in film and television, but I'm not going to talk to you about that, because ironically I think I know more about this stuff, and that's not the point. I'm not saying that to be like, I have a master's degree, because I had a master's degree and I was cleaning toilets at the same time in a nightclub, so it's not about that. I think we all have valid, learned, lived experiences and things that will be beneficial and valuable to other people, regardless of whether we have degrees or what we've done in our life. Lived experience. So I'm not trying to be unscientific here, because I'm very much a fan of science, but there are other things that are valuable as well. and I'm going to leave the science to the scientists. And so, what else am I going to talk about? So we're being told to stop, and we're being told to do nothing. And suddenly, some of the things I wrote in my book don't seem so crazy. And so we're all at home. I'm sure some of you have tried to already this week. My daughter's out there. I asked her to sit out there while I did this video. It's not even a work day, it's a Saturday. I'm sure all of you that are working from home have experienced trying to work with children at home. And it's hard. Not only that, we're trying to work, we're trying to look after children. We're trying to deal with a pandemic that might hurt or kill people that we know, and we're being left alone with our thoughts and all of our coping mechanisms, like constant exercise, socializing, freedom to just go out and do whatever we want whenever we want, gone. And we're left alone with our thoughts. And for most people, that's a nightmare, because most people spend their entire lives running from their thoughts, like trying to get away. Think of the person who works 24/7, workaholic, goes on holidays and still can't relax. Goes to a tropical island in the middle of nowhere with no stresses, apart from maybe what's going on in their daily life with themselves and their partner, and they can't relax. They keep working often, and after a few days they might be getting really jittery, anxious, upset, depressed, drinking heavily, and all they want to do is go home to work because they're so used to doing they can't even relax on a holiday. Well, now think about that en masse in society and people trapped at home. Good, isn't it? That's what we're living in now. All these people that were told to just work and can't really not, now trying to live and work out how they're going to cope with themselves not being able to work, or trying to look after kids, or not being able to leave the house and see people. Whatever it is that they use as coping mechanisms. Mentally, a lot of people are going to struggle. So we're being forced to stop. We're being told to sit with our thoughts. And I'm going to say something now that it's like when your boss at work says to you, when they've got a really crap job for you to do, and they're like, I've got this thing that I'd really like you to do. Oh, and on cue, there's my daughter. I'll be out soon. It's the fun we've all been experiencing, right? On Zoom and Skype and whatever else. Anyway, so back to my bad metaphor. So your boss is like, I've got this really terrible thing for you, but they don't say that. They say, have I got an opportunity for you? This is a bit like that, but remember, love hearts. So I'm saying this with love, and some of you won't want to hear this, that's fine. But aside from all the horror and stuff that is going on, this is an opportunity. And I mean that genuinely. It's an opportunity to sit at home, sit with yourself, and do nothing. And it's an opportunity to be okay with that. It's an opportunity to, whilst possibly saving lives by staying at home, not putting yourself, your family, or unknown people in your community in danger, that's a pretty great opportunity. It's also an opportunity for yourself to learn how to be with yourself, to learn how to value yourself while doing absolutely nothing, to learn why you are still a valuable human being even though you have no job. Okay, some of us still have jobs, but a lot of people have lost their jobs, and they're all trying to get money from Centrelink or trying to get some other government job that's opened up. That could be me in a couple of weeks, it could be anyone. So a lot of people have lost these jobs, a lot of people are fearful of losing their jobs, or they're at home and it doesn't feel like their job. It's an opportunity to value ourselves without any of these things. To understand that without roles, jobs, careers, whatever else is that we have used to convince ourselves that we are a valuable human being on this planet, these things are not what gives us value. What we think gives us value, no. I say we were born with value. We were born a worthwhile human being. Everybody was. You would never say that a baby wasn't, didn't have value. You would always, right? But as we grow up, we think we have to do things. No. No matter what you do, no matter what you don't do in your life, you have the same value that you had when you were a child. I have the same value today that I had when I was born, and I'll have the same value up until the day I die. If I become famous, my value will not increase. If I lose my job, my value will not decrease. If I do something bad, my value will not decrease as a human being. If I do something great, my value does not increase. We have an inherent value as a human being. That's my belief. You can disagree, that's fine. That's just my belief. So that's where I think all this doing and achieving stuff is BS, because people think it's what makes them valuable. You are what makes you valuable. You are already worthwhile. You're already valuable, sitting on the couch, doing nothing, reading a book, hanging out with your kid, your cat, your dog, your parent, your grandparent, whatever, talking to them on the phone. So we've been given an opportunity to be okay with ourselves doing nothing, and that's pretty incredible. The whole world is stopping. Like society on pause. It's stopping. And this is a very rare opportunity, and you probably know this already, but if you don't, I think this is a very rare opportunity. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to, people I'm going to write the next greatest novel, or I'm going to learn how to do this or that, or in this time I've got to use it to do something. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything. It's a rare opportunity because the world might start up again really soon and be crazy like it was before, or even crazier in a more do thing. So this window, no one knows how big it's going to be. So take advantage of it to just be with yourself and to learn to be okay with who you are without valuing yourself for what you do. That's my advice, with love, as always. I'll talk about some other things, but just be kind to everyone, because everyone is always carrying around baggage that you can't see. But right now everyone's got extra baggage on top of that, just chucked on top. And there's going to be a whole lot of what I call transference. I don't know if that's the technical psychological term, I can't remember, but it's what I mean when I say transference is someone's super scared of dying or their mother dying, and you call them up about buying a stapler and they tear your head off and swear down the phone and stuff. That's what I mean by transference. They don't know how to deal with what's going on in their life, and how to process those emotions and those fears, and so it gets transferred onto something and somebody else. So just be aware that everybody's going through that at the moment, and don't take it personally if people are rude to you, I guess is my other piece of advice. This has almost been a 30-minute video. I thought it would be 5 or 3. So that'll do for this first video. I just rambled for half an hour. I hope that if this has done nothing else, it's taken you away from a news feed for half an hour, your own anxieties for half an hour, a sick person for half an hour. I don't know what else we can hope for at this point in time, but love to you all, and I will be doing another one of these rambling videos soon. With lots of love from Ross. That's me. Okay.